Thanks, Ian, and thanks everyone for joining this session. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the global landscape. Our challenges and opportunities are really very similar to here. A little bit about what we see as the challenges that councils face and an approach of how we'd like to work with you, and then a little bit more about upcoming materials and end-of-life markets. If I press the right button, we'll get somewhere. First, I'd like to just update you a little on the scheme. I apologise if you don't know anything about this scheme. I don't have the time to sort of go into the whole program. But end of life, we estimate that there's about 2 to 2.4 million mattresses sold each year in Australia, and about 1.6 to 1.8 million of those are available for disposal each year. If you line them all up, they would go from Darwin down to Melbourne. Given their size and bulk, we call them a big, buggy, bulky problem, then we need to do what we can to get them out of landfill and off our streets. We've been operational now for a year, and we have a number of the large retail chains on board. Harvey Norman and Domain were founding members. We've got Snooze, Koala, the first online retailer. We have some bed sheds, Beds and Dreams. IKEA has committed, but we're still waiting for the paperwork. We're starting to get some traction with 40 Winks, Sleeping Giant, Sleepy's, all sorts of other retailers. We're very privileged to have our supply chain very interested in this program and volunteering to join and help fund the establishment of the scheme. Dow Chemical has just come on, and Covestro. They provide chemicals for polyols and the chemicals that go into foam production. Thermotech provides polyurethane and polyethylene, and Joyce Foam, who's one of the major foam manufacturers. We're doing trials with Amart, which is the largest corporately owned retailer in Australia of bedding, Freedom, Fantastic Furniture, and then we have about 75% of Australian bedding manufacturers on board, and that's about 75% of the market. So 75% of 75% is about 50%, if my maths is correct. We want to get that a lot higher. Imports will obviously be one of our challenges, and you've heard the term free riders, and that's one of our challenges, of course. We are funded by industry, so the development of the scheme is funded by industry. The recycling is paid by the retailer or the consumer, and we have aligned our strategic approach with the Sustainable Development Goals. Our stakeholders are many and varied, of course. Our product stewardship organisation is actually part of a registered charity, Community Resources. Our principal recycler is a social enterprise, Soft Landing, and our members, as I said, spread across the supply chain. Obviously all levels of government are stakeholders, as are commercial businesses, from hospitals to prisons to Defence Force to hotels, and universities, and of course charities, who are the lucky recipients of old and used and buggy mattresses. Our strategic objectives are really about getting recycling right and supported first, improving the value of reclaimed materials, designing for end of life, designing for environment, and a really important one that is not there, which is a central part of our scheme, is the increasing jobs for people who experience disadvantage, which is the soft landing focus. So recently I had the opportunity to meet with other countries who are considering or involved in mattress product stewardship, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of learnings from that experience. In Australia we are a voluntary regulated scheme, a voluntary scheme, which means that we're industry regulated, and we see that as a lower cost model. It gives us funding uncertainty, of course. In the EU there is no scheme, and they are keen to pursue waste to energy. I've missed France off this map. It fell off somewhere, broken away and gone off into the sea. France has had a mandatory scheme since 2009 called ECOM Engagement for furniture and mattresses. England is looking at a voluntary approach, maybe not product stewardship, but at least a voluntary action. And then in the US, under the Mattress Recycling Council, there are 3 states that are mandatory, and those 3 states are California, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. And France, quite a bit of their material goes to waste to energy as well. So in the 3 states in USA, they have just collected now more than 3 million mattresses, quite a little bit more than our 300,000 or 350,000. One of their issues, of course, is dumping. Catherine was talking about potential for people to go interstate. Well, Connecticut and Rhode Island are pretty small, and Rhode Island is actually recycling above its target because it gets dumping from other states where they're not being charged the levy, but they're getting them recycled. Part of the Californian mattress recycling bill is that, or the characteristics, is that it's mandatory participation for manufacturers, retailers, and a lot of the commercials. And it's guaranteed funding because it's a levy at the point of retail, which is 10 to 11 US dollars across all mattresses sold. So that captures the imports as well. They have mandatory reporting. There are some exemptions, which is mainly around sanitation issues and hazardous waste from hospitals. Mandatory reporting for all stakeholders, and their model, they must take back the mattress at the point of delivery of the new mattress. And then there are other channels as well, but from a retail perspective, it must be that way. And there's active enforcement, particularly in California. They actually rock up unannounced to a retail store and ask to see their records. I could talk about that a lot more, but we don't have time. So ECOMobilier has been going since 2009, and its aim was to encourage investment in recycling facilities, to encourage eco-design, and implement efficient traceability for data collection. It's funded by a differentiated levy on mattresses and lounges, which means that there's more than one price point, which is a little more challenging to administer. And one of the things I really like is that they have an eco bonus on recycling fee for eco design, and that benefit, that incentive is likely to increase. And I'm still trying to speak with them to understand more how that works. 85% of the French population has access to it. And previously, 50% of furniture and 100% of mattresses was going to landfill. So just a little more on that Eco Innovation Challenge. They put up a fund of 5 million euros, and people could submit projects for things to do with reuse of those materials, and they would be, if successful, funded for 3 years for up to 75% of their costs. We are still waiting for them to release what those projects are, and we really look forward to finding out what they are. So maybe next year we can tell you about those. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the regulatory approach versus the voluntary approach as we see it. And one of the things that we've talked about is priority lists and sticks and carrots. And our manufacturers see being on a priority list as a good thing because it gives them a stick. Our members see it as a stick. So I think some industries don't want to be seen on that priority list. We want to be there because we think it helps us get people on board. So we see that we have control of the design and implementation of our scheme. There's a choice for industry players to participate. There's obviously a negative in free riders who don't participate, which could be importers or other manufacturers and retailers. And we're obviously limited by revenue from a small base, and it may impact our market coverage. We also have uncertainty of funding because if a large retail chain decides to pull out, we lose a fair bit of funding. Our scheme was designed along the lines of the product stewardship accreditation. So we have tried to align it for us to go for accreditation in future years. The regulatory approach, the players did get input into the scheme. There is good enforcement for free riders. All imports are captured. They have a guaranteed revenue to recycle, they have broad market coverage, but they have a lot more regulatory burden as well. I just want to ask a question when I talk about challenges. Who has bought a mattress in the last 3 years? Can you keep your hand up if you know that it was recycled? Your old one was recycled? Okay. And who buys a new mattress more frequently than once every 8 years? A couple of you? Yeah? 10 years? A few more. Okay. So I warned Liam I was going to do this, but we get a lot of complaints about the cost to recycle a mattress, which could be anywhere from $27 up to $40, depending on the logistics model for metro and close regional areas. I recently changed the tyres on my car, and I paid $28 to have my tyres recycled. I didn't know I was paying that until I got home and looked at the invoice. And I replace my tyres, because I do a lot of travelling, every year. So over my life, when I might have 6 or 7 mattresses, that's a big difference in cost. So why are we complaining about $27 to $40? I'll have to talk to Liam about whether I can use that in some advertising campaigns. So some of our challenges, of course, are funding. At the moment, we are only funded for development. We need to look at our long-term sustainable funding. Free riders, of course. Logistics, massive issue because of the size of mattresses. I've spoken a lot to councils over the last few days about some of the challenges that you have and how we might be able to get your mattresses out of your landfill and recycled responsibly. Engaging consumers, as I mentioned, the pushback on and interestingly our demographic is overwhelmingly women, 35 to 45. And the other issue is data. We need better data and we need better mechanisms for understanding exactly how many mattresses are out there that are being sold and being recycled. Some of the challenges that councils have told me about in metro areas, of course, for home collection is narrow lanes, roads, and of course traffic. Transient populations where buying a cheap mattress and disposing of it when they move is common, versus ageing populations who can't get their mattress down 30 stairs and onto a car and out to a landfill. And tenants that aren't ratepayers who don't understand the impact of the cost on councils and of the services that they receive. Lack of consolidation space is another. And for regionals, it's the low cost of landfill doesn't provide us with an economic incentive. There's better access to vehicles with roof racks and access to the tips. And there's a lack of non-recycling options. And across all of those is that there are multiple schemes with different needs and processes, which is also a challenge for councils. But then there's the residents. And Captain Jack Sparrow, is Captain Jack Sparrow here now? Because she was there last night. The problem is not the problem is their attitude about the problem. And I just think that councils have done such a great job of dealing with everyone's waste and making it seem like it's not the consumer's problem, that we now need to start educating them on their responsibility and the fact that there is an opportunity cost for dumping your mattress on the street. So I'm really keen to talk to council representatives about that. So some ways that you can help us, councils can help us and other stakeholders, is to refer people to our Recycle My Mattress website, where we list retailers who will offer to take back your mattress or help you arrange home collection at the point of sale. We want to capture people at the point of sale so they make the decision while they're excited about getting their new mattress, and get it out of their house as quickly as we can before they have a chance to dump it. We also would love you to share our video. We did a little video of Helen trying to drag a mattress down 2 flights of stairs onto the car, and it very conveniently fell off the car and hit her, versus having the truck come and take it away and recycle it for you. We want you to engage with us on those narratives. I'm running quite over time. So we've discussed reuse and refurbishment quite a lot. One of the challenges for us in terms of reuse is what lives in your mattress. And there's something, mite droppings, which are quite common in all of our mattresses, won't kill us, but they can cause allergy and asthma. And there's all sorts of lovely creatures living in our beds that we need to be considering if we want to reuse a mattress. So there's a lot of work we need to do there. Materials and markets, look, there's a whole bunch of new gimmicks coming out that we will have to deal with in 5 to 10 years' time, like copper-infused mattresses, because it cools the foam in your mattress, and it's going to, you know, be good for your arthritis, we think. Not. The future is beds in a box. It's going back to some natural materials, which is a good thing, and the research that we're doing with University of New South Wales on how we get to 100% recycling rate, particularly with the fabrics, and there's some exciting things happening there. In Europe, they're already using some products made from materials in construction or in insulation, and the products on the right there are the University of New South Wales products they're making with our end-of-life materials. And I just wanted to play you a little video from one of our supply chain members that I think sums up what I think is special about our product stewardship scheme. And this was actually recorded by a couple of the guys in the US after our visit there recently.
What can we bring to the table? Covestro is a material science company and can bring a lot of knowledge with regard to how materials can be applied to different applications. In addition, we have expertise in chemical processing and the applications themselves. I think one of the other more intangible things that we bring to the table is our network, because Covestro is involved in so many downstream markets and applications. We have a very broad network across North America and the US, Canada, and Mexico, and we can engage those folks for ideas on how to improve recycling of mattresses.
The major issue facing mattress recycling today is that there's a lack of a high-value market for the materials that come out of the mattresses. Things such as wood, the metals, and also the foam, which is highly recyclable, right now really are not claiming any sort of premium in the markets. Thus, there's not a demand push or pull for those materials. At Covestro, we're invested in this industry because we produce high-performance polyurethane raw materials that help to create the foam currently in mattresses. As the mattress industry morphs to more and more foam mattresses out in the market, as witnessed by new products such as Bed in a Box, we would like to take an opportunity to look into this issue and create an opportunity out of it. Mattress recycling is being looked at across the world, including here in North America, where Covestro LLC has taken a collaborative approach with our industry organization, the Mattress Recycling Council. Along with our researchers and our marketing group, we have been looking at different markets for these materials to try to find high value. For instance, we've looked at areas such as high volume fillers for the mattress foam. We've looked at sound absorption in residential or commercial buildings. We've looked at thermal insulation and the same type of structures. The list goes on and on. Even though these raw materials are free, we feel like there's an opportunity there to create value, to have a reuse, to have a recycle, to have a second life. Covestro wants to be involved in this initiative, as end of life is important to our company, it's important to sustainability, and it's important really to our earth.
And of course, the more we move away from carpet as a floor covering to hard surface floorings, the more our current foam markets close up. Look, there's lots more we could talk about. I think collaboration for us is going to be one of our great opportunities for finding end of life value to create new products. The other option, I guess, is for us all to go back to sleeping in sleeping bags, creating less waste and having less of a problem. We have a stand just near the reception desk. I'll be around there at lunchtime if anyone would like to come and see the mattress life cycle and talk to us about your issues with mattresses. Thank you.